So here's what Putty wrote to Dave Austin. He said, I noticed this item, the one you're talking about. He said at a cost of $17,000. But could you tell me why this relatively new building needs a structural evaluation? Is there a problem? Is it settling? Or is the evaluation in connection with remodeling or alteration? I mean, of course we're going to ask those questions, you know? And did you see George Ragsdale's one about the that's for the BOC? Okay.
I'll give you a draft of one of our cheers last year.
That is a good man, thank you. I've been waiting patiently.
When they designed it, they didn't.
Good morning. Tamara, how are you, girl? Nice to see you. Everything okay?
Yes, sir.
I went to the wrong conference.
Pardon me?
I went to the wrong conference. I go in the hall.
Yeah.
I'm David Whitworth. I've got a very small tax matter over here, and they said if I was going to be here, to let the chairman know.
Yes, sir. So when we call it, if you want to just sit there and listen or come up and say the case,
Sure. Okay, fine.
whatever you wish. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I'm talking to the people. Uh, 10:01, so we're a minute late. Welcome to the April 16th Finance Committee meeting. We will get right into it and get started. First item number one is to consider approval of the March 27th Finance Committee minutes. Tamara?
There were no changes to anything. Everything's in there as it was voted on, and we're good to go.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor? Okay. Item number two. Good morning, Commissioner Booker. I'm glad you're here. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize a fee waiver in the amount of $400 for use of the Selden Park Gym August 18th by the Democratic Party and provide a staff person, a recreation staff person, to supervise the event. Ms. Lisa?
Yes, sir. The Democratic Party has approached us about using the gym for an event in August, and I believe they've done this, did this several years ago.
They do it every year.
They do it every year? Okay. And so we were just coming to you asking for the fee waiver for that event to happen.
Okay.
And if they do exceed 100 people, then obviously we would require them to go through the process for a public conduct permit.
Okay. Discussion? I'll start the discussion. I'd forgotten, I was on this committee last year, that we may have provided this for the Democratic Party. When I read this over the weekend, I did have a measure of discomfort to either give in-kind or monetary contributions to a political party. So I was uncomfortable with it. Commissioners?
Will?
We haven't had a chance to look at this item yet, sir, so I couldn't really give you an opinion on that.
Is it a problem with, because I had some uncomfort with it too.
Well,
Uncomfort.
my thing is, my comfort level is that, from my understanding, they've done it before. So, I mean, this is not the first time they've requested it.
So as I said earlier, I was unaware of that. I didn't have any recollection of it. And I'm still uncomfortable with it, whether it's a Democrat, the Socialist, or the Republican Party. I'm just not sure the county should be showing any degree of favoritism by way of...
That's fine.
in-kind contribution.
Let's vote it down. If I'm going to vote for it, because we've been doing it. But let's go ahead and...
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
but I would like to know if it's something that is legal for us to do. Now, we may decide as a policy not to do it.
Right.
And that's fine, but...
Will, can you take care of that?
Yes, sir.
You'll look into it. Mr. Hours, do you have any comment about if this is something that's been commonly done by the Board of Commissioners?
I do not.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say we did ask staff because we had the same question. So we asked staff who's prepared Finance Committee agendas, and she's been here for 24 years, and she does not recall it ever coming forward for any political party, but that does not mean it hasn't.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't remember, I've been on finance for several years during my terms as a commissioner, and I don't ever remember a political party asking to waive the fine. I mean, it may have, and I'm not questioning Commissioner Booker, please don't, but I just don't remember it. You know, I know we do it for other things, for different charities and organizations
right.
and kids groups, and all
right.
that's fine. by just a political party.
Right, that's the discomfort I have. If it was a nonprofit, it would be just absolutely, you know, but a political party. So anyway, why don't we take a vote, but Tanya, make sure we do not put that on the consent agenda, that we
Right.
discuss it at the Board of Commissioners meeting, and we'll please have a report, either you or Aaron, that night. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the waiver fee as presented by staff.
Okay, I will second that motion, and I will call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. All against? 2-1 against, but put it on the discussion for the,
Also, can you check recreation records to see if there's anything in any of your, to show that it's been done?
okay, number 3, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners accept the proposed changes to the purchasing ordinance pending the county attorney's approval. Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have, most of the changes that we have put into the purchasing ordinance are just housekeeping type changes, some error corrections. We changed the capitalization threshold from $1,000 to $5,000. It's been in our audit for many years as $5,000, so I think this is just an error in the ordinance. And then there was some discussion with the county attorneys about a section in there that talks about who can approve contracts. And so the county attorneys have said that per state law, no one can approve a contract, whether it's for $1 or $100,000, without it going through the board. So we took out the verbiage that allows staff and department heads to approve contracts without it going through the board.
Discussion?
I'm not done yet, sorry. Just taking a breath. The biggest change to the purchasing ordinance, and I may need IT to pitch in a little bit here, is we're asking to add a exemption into the purchasing ordinance that would mimic the professional services exemption and allow them to purchase specific technology that without going through the bid process, and it would require the same commissioner votes as the professional service exemption would. And the reason for this is because technology is so specific. Oftentimes when we bid out technology, we get back something that we really don't want, and we end up having to take a bid for something that's really not what we need because it's the low bid.
Right, we certainly want to buy anything like that.
Who's gonna kind of be the checks and balances for this, as far as, and I have all the faith in the world in John as the IT manager, but who's gonna have the final kind of say?
The commissioners would have to have a vote of 5 approved to override the purchasing ordinance.
And I understand that part of it, a supermajority thing, but when you get into this IT stuff,
Yes.
you know, we look as ignorant as the people the other day at the hearings with the guy with Facebook. You know, we don't have any idea what some of this stuff is, and you know, so I just think there needs to be some kind of checks or balances or something.
Right, and there will be. We are in these meetings with the departments and IT, and we're discussing these different types of software products, and then Mr. Hours is the final check, of course, but he understands this inside and out. But I was going to mention too, in our discussions with the county attorney, the comment keeps coming up. Our purchasing ordinance really was written at a time where it's mostly for construction projects. And so professional exemptions are for these architects or engineers that's sort of why this language is in there. And so the comment was, if we had something for information technology and other idea type stuff that we're purchasing, that we just need something within the purchasing ordinance to allow us to do that. And this specific one is because the EMD is coming up again. The emergency medical dispatch for those protocols. We know that went out to bid 3 years ago, I think, and we've had such an issue with it. And now to do that again, we're going to have to send it out to bid again. When we know there's only 3 companies, last time we sent it out to bid, one company was way over the other. We know that one will interface with our current technology without having to have something specific written for our current technology. So we know who we need to get this from, but we can't do it under the legalese of our current purchasing ordinance. So if we do this, we can recommend a company and we can keep moving with our purchasing ordinance.
Do we want to put a dollar threshold on that? I mean, some of these software packages can be extremely expensive.
I think what we're trying to do is get a process by which we can go through and select the proper software, has the look and feel that we want, delivers the reports that we want. Lots of times you can find a piece of software, you can get Google Docs instead of Microsoft Word, but the look and feel of that and the standardization of that differs from what you might want. So we're trying to get a process in place. The checks and balances are essentially that. This requires a decision by the commission to do it. The process is, at least in right now, is that we write a project scope that defines the project and identifies the objectives that we want to meet, what we're trying to do, and then we do the search for the software. And if we find what we need, then price should not be the consideration. It should be the functionality of the software.
Right.
And that's our objective.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do.
And it would still come up through the finance committee of the board of commissioners.
Correct.
Final.
Correct. We don't bypass anything.
Right.
But what it does, it right now, you can, you as commissioners can say, okay, let's buy this software, and it's fine. You can do that. But the procedure is not defined to the point where maybe there might not be an objection by somebody, maybe where we've not gone through and done our due diligence and made sure that we've gotten what we need rather than what some salesman said we need.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to address that.
Right. Any thoughts? Motion? Thank you, John. Motion? No motion?
I mean, this is gonna make it easy for the staff to do what they need to do.
Absolutely.
And it will streamline the process to help us get what we need.
It will, and it will still have to come through the commissioners. It will still have to be explained every single time. It will be explained why we're requesting a professional exemption or something like that, just like we do right now. And it will have to be in the budget, or we'll have to ask for budget money or more budget money to do it.
So basically you're saying there's enough oversight built into the system that we ought to at least streamline the process on the front end to get what we need in this highly technical scope of
Correct.
software purchasing.
Correct.
I don't have any problem with moving this to the full board for look. Motion?
I move we accept the recommendation of the staff.
And I accept that motion. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Number 4, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve and execute fiscal year 19 contract with the Brunswick Judicial Circuit Public Defender, subject to the county attorney's approval. Tamara.
This is just our standard contract. The money is in the budget for fiscal year 19, so we're just asking the board to approve the contract.
And the county attorneys?
They are still reviewing it.
Okay.
We did have a verbal discussion with Aaron, and he said to go ahead and move forward and put it on finance committee. He thought that the contract was going to stay very similar to what it is now.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second? All in favor? Unanimous. Just a point of order. Are we going to be discussing these issues at Thursday night's BOC meeting, or the one first of the 3rd of May? 3rd of May.
May 3rd,
Okay,
yes, sir.
great. So, tax commissioner items. Number 5. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve a request from Mr. Posey that interest paid in the amount of $138.70 on his 2017 property tax be refunded.
Good morning,
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Commissioners. Arlene Sapp, Tax Commissioner's Office. Mr. Posey is stating, it says, Mr. Stephen Posey is requesting a refund of interest paid on parcel 0413035 in the amount of $138.70 for tax year 2017. It states that Mr. Posey states he did not receive his tax notice to the correct address. He further states that the notice was sent to 166 Shoreline Drive, North Augusta Drive, and not to North Augusta, South Carolina. However, the Posey's 2016 tax notice did have the correct state for mailing. The tax commissioner concurs with Mr. Posey's request, but of course, it's your decision.
So you're moving to grant this refund?
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna go along with approving this, but it goes back to what I've said every time one of these comes up. People have to accept some responsibility. They know when their taxes are due. They know when their tag expires. They know when their driver's license expires. And people need to take a little bit of responsibility in their life. And if they haven't received a tax bill, contact the tax commissioner's office to see what's going on and why they haven't. So, anyway,
Your decision.
Amen.
Enough
Well,
said about that.
we got the tax that was due, we're just refunding the interest, correct?
Correct.
motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Number 6, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve a request from Ms. Barbara Moody. The taxes paid for 7 years in the amount of $5,875 on parcel 03-07130 be refunded.
And pretty much so, Ms. Barbara Moody, wife of the late Gerald Moody, is requesting refund of money paid on the above-mentioned parcel for the past 7 years. It states that the above parcels has been classified as dual ownership by the GIS department, and over the years, Ms. Moody has been paying taxes on it, just as some other taxpayers. The taxes over a period of 7 years amounts to $5,875, and Ms. Barbara Moody feels that she is entitled to a refund. The tax commissioner concurs with the request of Ms. Moody, but of course it's your decision.
Could you explain that to me?
There are about 4 different parcels. 4 people are saying that they own these parcels, 4 different people, and it's in litigation, and you know.
So who's paying the taxes?
4 different people.
Did Ms.
4
Moody
different-
pay her taxes?
Ms. Moody paid them, and 3 other
Paid the same
individuals
amount?
paid them also.
So,
On all the property, they paid the same amount that was due on
See,
all.
it's dual owners. We have some properties on record, and there's dual owners. They're trying to decide who really owns these properties.
So do you split it up?
It's split. Mhm.
Okay, so they're not paying the entire thing, they're just paying their portion.
Their portion, right.
Did she pay more than her portion?
No, she paid her portion
So why should she get it back?
because it was paid in another parcel as well. It's just a real confusing
It's
thing,
very
but,
confusing. I'm having a
yeah,
hard time.
I don't
See,
understand
her
what dual
parcel-
ownership is.
My head is pounding.
yes, and her parcel is 0307045.
Here we go.
Miss
Yes, sir.
No, and I'm sorry, Miss Moody's parcel is 03-07130. She is saying that she owns the property, and then this Noel person is saying they own the property also. So
Okay.
they're disputing the property, and both of them are paying taxes on the same piece of property.
Okay, so what if the other person comes and they want a refund?
Well, the taxes are being paid.
Their
you know,
taxes
by
are being
this
paid,
pay,
so
yeah.
really it's,
And then, see, this property, Miss Moody's, is gonna be deleted, you know, it's not gonna,
So if she's disputing the fact that she's even an owner, she was good enough to pay her taxes through the years, right? Is that what you're telling me? Even though she was disputing ownership.
because there's more than one person saying that they own the property.
Right.
You're saying you own it, you say you own it, you say you own it.
And all 3 of us are paying taxes.
All 3 of you are paying
Are
taxes
we paying you
on
more
it.
taxes than we should be paying?
No, all 3 of you just are paying taxes on that one piece of property.
But is the
So-
tax commissioner getting more money than
Yes,
the?
he is, because you're paying 5,000 on the same property, you're paying 5,000
that was
on the
my
same, but
point.
you're paying 5,000 on the same
That,
property.
that if they were all paying the same amount.
Same amount, right.
So is she
So
giving up
instead of
rights to
getting
her ownership?
$5,000 for the property, you're getting $15,000 for
Right.
one piece of property.
So is Miss Moody saying she no longer has ownership rights to this
Yeah,
property?
she wants to just release it.
She's done.
She's done. Her
Okay.
husband's deceased, she don't wanna
Okay,
argue
I
about
get
it
it.
any longer.
Now, Mr. Worley, what do you think about this from a legal perspective?
Well, I think if it's subject to litigation, we probably need to see whatever the resolution of that litigation is because I share your concern that, you know, if we give her a refund and then there's a court case that says she's the owner of the property, and the other folks are then gonna come and want
But she's out of
Right,
it.
she's out of
Well, I guess we need to confirm that. I haven't seen anything to show that.
Our tax commissioner is here. Commissioner Chapman, do you have anything to add, sir?
Mr. Moody, that just recently passed, was paying the taxes on it. His family was trying to clean up his estate for the widow. And, the other family, you know, like I said, two families were paying on the parcel. They relinquished all their rights to it, and they simply being asked to refund the money because somehow or another the addresses got confused, and we sent out 3 bills, 3 people, everybody paid them. So, I thought it was 2, and you're telling me it's 3. And this family came forward and said, you know, we don't have any rights to this, just because we paid the taxes, and we found out it was overpaid. So legitimately, more taxes was collected on the property than necessary. And they're just asking, they got proof of each year that they paid those taxes, and so we went with the proof and asked the board to.
And you're comfortable that they have in fact relinquished any ownership rights to the property?
I am, in fact, this kind of confirms that even further by
Okay.
asking for the
All
taxes
right.
back.
All right.
The next problem is, I thought we could only give tax refunds up to 3 years.
The commission can do as it please.
Are we setting a precedent if we start doing that?
No, sir. I think by law, you're legally can only go back 3 years from the date of payment. Now,
Law.
if all 7 years were paid within the past 3 years, then you can refund that. But the law only allows you to go back and refund illegal or erroneously assessed taxes 3 years from the date of payment.
So,
We don't know what that is, man.
Well, I know that we're bound, we can only be held accountable for up to 3 years, but, you know, I'll let you defer to your own counsel.
So we don't know, right, we need to defer this then.
Defer it, expecting what form of resolution?
But I don't have a problem with giving her the refund for the 3 years,
but I think also, maybe we should get something in writing from this family saying that they relinquish ownership of it. I mean, I understand, you know, them trying to clean up the estate and everything like that, and word of mouth is fine, but I think in the grand scheme of things, we need something in
Yeah, I agree.
writing that
I agree.
says, you know, we give up ownership for this piece of property. And then also, if we are, by law, if we can only go back 3 years, then I think that's what we should do. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, this has been discussed with Ms. Jean Breland in the GIS office, and, I think she may even have that letter that you would need, and she is also planning on deleting this parcel, so it would not, you know, go on our tax digest, you know, future years. So, I can get that letter from you, because I think she's already written it.
We'll just have all of that.
All of that,
When
okay.
we have, whatever the 3-year amount is, if it's this amount, but we need to verify.
So you want the 3-year amount, and you want the letter from the Moody's, is that correct? Okay.
And, Will, could you, if we are gonna defer this, could you get clarification for the next meeting to see if it's possible for us to give the full 7 years?
Sure.
Or we're bound? I mean, we could make a recommendation in light of this, and we could go back 7. If we can't, please have the 3-year number, and we'll vote on that, all right?
Okay.
So is there a motion to defer?
I move that we defer this item to the next finance committee.
Second.
All in favor of deferring to the next meeting? Unanimous. 7, consider recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a request from Mr. David Whitworth that pending interest amount of $262.50 be waived on his tax bills.
Same situation, stated he did not receive his tax bill, and he would like to have his money refunded. It says, due to a Glynn County Department of error, Mr. Whitlock's property tax bills were mailed to an address the company had some years prior. The 2016 tax notices did go to the correct address. The tax commissioner concurs with Mr. Whitworth's request, you know, but it would be your decision.
Do we know why these bills that apparently have been mailed in the past to the correct address sometimes get mailed to the incorrect address the next year?
It seems
Yes,
as if,
sir.
from what we found out, Creative Printing, the company, our vendor that prints our bills, they send them to the post office. The post office has some type of universal address service that they use, so they may use an address that they have instead of an address that we have.
I see.
And so it's kind of overriding, you know, each other.
Well, hopefully we can get that
We are.
rectified.
We're working to get that rectified.
Mr. Whitworth is here, as you all know. Any questions for Mr. Whitworth?
I still say the same thing I said.
And I heard you.
And I think it's a fair point, but at the same time, you know,
Well, I've already paid the CPA for the tax return, and they didn't catch it either. I have several pieces of property, and these have been covered before, so apparently these.
Yeah, I guess that's my thing is that folk who, you know, if you have a couple of pieces of property, that may hold true if you have a bunch. And I know you're supposed to have people who work for you to manage it.
Right.
But if it's a lot of property, you know, something like this may happen, which in this case is overlapping with the post office.
right, which is distressing. So hopefully you all can get
Yeah,
that
we're
rectified.
working to resolve
Is there a
that issue.
motion?
I move that we refund or waive this pending interest.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right,
And
thanks
thank
for
you,
coming. Number 8, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve a request from Ms. Wanda Day that interest paid in the amount of $61.87 on her property be refunded. Yes, ma'am.
Same situation. She said she did not get her tax bill for 2017. She received it in 2016, but did not receive it in 2017. And it's just an issue with the post office using their universal system.
So when are we gonna have this resolved?
Before
I
the
know this
bills
is what
go out
Richard
this year,
expected.
2018. Pretty much, so we've already.
All right. Motion?
I move that we go ahead with the refund this property tax.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, if I could mention on it, we refer to this as Mailgate, and lots of errors, too many people having the access to change their addresses.
Right.
We're working with the Board of Assessors and GIS, and we've narrowed it down, so we're looking forward to being recovered and not having duplication of problems.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Mr. Glisten, number 9, consider recommending Board of Commissioners approve the real and personal property corrections and exemptions as recommended by the Board of Assessors and the Chief Appraiser at the Thursday, March 15th meeting and the April 5 meeting. This does not approve a tax refund. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you are the March 15th and April 5th corrections. Try to answer any questions that y'all may have.
Anything of concern to you, Mr. Glisten?
No.
Any questions from Mr. Glisten?
No, not at this time.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 10. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners amend the fiscal year 18 Finance Department budget to reflect the additional $5,000 in contributed revenue and expenditures for a total of $10,000. Yes, ma'am.
All right, we came to the Finance Committee and it went to board approval to accept a grant, and our motion was wrong. It should have said to accept $10,000 total because we're getting a match. The $5,000 match is also coming from outside, so the county is not going to have to put in any money to this. We just need to amend our budget to increase it for the match portion.
Questions? Comments?
So move.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, if you're good with us kind of editing this language a little bit to put what this relates to in there, the tourism product development grant. I didn't catch that before, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's just going to be an addition
This
to
is what a Harrington
the
School.
This is for that tourism grant, and it's the signs that are being put up, and I'm not sure if it's for the Harrington or, I know it was a part of that tourism grant that we got.
Sure, it's fine to reflect. what-
Yes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Number 11, consider recommending to the Board of Commissioners that they accept the State Farm Mutual Automobile Insurance Company grant for $5,000 and to amend the fiscal year 18 Police Department budget by that amount.
This is similar. We're just asking for an increase in revenues and expenses for $5,000 to accept this grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments?
What is it for? Is it for anything in
This
particular?
is for a education program for teens about not texting and driving.
Great. All in favor? Unanimous. Number 12, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize staff to execute the attached request letter, and if approved, pursue completion of the project under the recently executed Memorandum of Understanding for TE-funded project 0010588. Mr. Andrews.
Commissioners, this item is kind of a housekeeping request. The county has been awarded 2 grants for the Heritage Riggers Trail project under the TE program with the state. That program is, state's wrapping that program up.
What's TE again?
That's transportation enhancement. That's the, we've done a lot of trail work under it and some park work in the past, I think. No, take that back, sidewalk work. But what this item is to consolidate in 06. We operate these grants under a memorandum of understandings with the state. In 06, we updated with the state the memorandum of understanding. This request would put both the projects under that newly updated memorandum of understanding, so we would be both the awarded funds from GDOT under the same project on their side, so that it would all operate under the currently updated memorandum of understanding.
Is there any chance at all that this project will be started?
Yes.
Before I leave office?
Yes.
I've only been dealing with it for 8 years now. So it'd be nice if kind of an outgoing sign of, you know,
That you've accomplished something?
that I've accomplished something
They might build a little
in my
sidewalk for
district, you know, that it's only taken 8 years, you know.
Well, we're I think the state has gotten their Moreland Altobelli is their contractor who manages this program for them, to try to work with us to weigh through how to get the contract the contract awarded that we let, due to some conflicting transportation enhancement project requirements versus county purchasing project requirements.
So
that's where we've been on hold.
So fat chance it'll be before.
We're gonna have to get to the end of it. They're one way or the other. So I think it's good.
And you've got that on your radar screen. You're looking right at it, and you're going to get this done.
Absolutely. And
right.
it may have to come back to you to rebid.
Oh my God.
But we're gonna take a step.
All right.
But I do have to ask.
Yes, sir.
In honor of my colleague, 8 years? How long have we had this money, I guess?
Has it been awarded that long?
Yeah. Alan? Ever since you've been here.
Before I was here.
Yeah.
It's an old award.
Yeah.
How much is it?
500,000, I think.
To build, this is on Heritage Riggers Boulevard. We have a current trail, and this is to extend both ends of it. We had
along Notting Hill, you know where Glencoe Parkway is, Notting Hill subdivision, from bringing out of Notting Hill, a sidewalk along there to tie into the one at Heritage Riggers.
And then from Neatwood out to
originally,
17.
4 or 5 years ago, there was an issue because we had an endangered species or something living in the canal, and we had to get government approval to move forward with that. So, you know.
We did.
But
And we got that.
Fun.
There's a big ditch that crosses that we have to fill in part of it, and there's some species in the ditch. It's a potential habitat for some species. We had to do some environmental consultants out there to establish that it could be done without impacting them. But we got past that hurdle. Now we're into trying to get both the projects working together. Is where we had one project ahead
Okay, well.
But this is just so we don't have to come through with two memorandums of
I
understanding.
move we accept this as we're even prolonging it by this discussion.
All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Keep on it, man. Keep on it.
Perfect example of a carry forward, and that we can't help but have to carry forward these projects.
Right. Okay, number 13, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize staff to submit an application to ACCG lease purchase program for $1,649,647 for the Enterprise Resource Planning System, and increase expenditures and revenues in the fiscal year capital budget by $255,647 for the ERP system. Yes, sir.
So in this year in the budget, we have $1,394,000 for this project. We knew this project was coming and we were going to bid it out. We have had several demos of companies. We have been working on it the entire year. James Manning is our project manager. He's done a fantastic job. But so now we're ready to issue a purchase order for our new ERP system. But in doing that, we know we need to get an ACCG lease to do it. Well, next year in the budget was a request for $175,000 for time clocks and $89,000 for the training travel portion of us getting this system, for their staff to come and train us on all of the financial piece, all of the human resources piece, and all of the fleet piece, which are not happening at the same time, but this project budget is over 3 years. So those are costs that can be rolled into the entire cost of the project. So it would be more beneficial if we just roll it all into one project. We ask for ACCG's grant lease purchase program, and then we fund it through that. So this year's budget only had 1.394, but because of those two items, we've requested a little bit more money. So it'll bring up revenues and expenses for the amount of that lease.
I hate to ask, but what is it?
So it's replacing our current financial system. It's replacing our current system that HR uses, and it's replacing a lot of the stuff in fleet. So they'll have a preventive maintenance schedule, they'll have a program. This will do our payroll, our purchasing, our accounts receivable, our general ledger, fixed assets. It's everything that we use to keep up with the operations of the county financially.
How old is our present software package that we're replacing?
1997.
So we got 21 years of use out of it. Sounds like it's probably time to get built.
Yeah, it's, later agenda item, we'll cover some of it now, I guess, but the Harris GEMS system has been an excellent accounting system, but the usability and functionality of it doesn't meet what we can achieve, with new technology and better access to information. So it's time to replace it, and Harris no longer is improving the system. I'm not going to say they're not supporting it, because they are supporting it. Harris is a good company, but they have a different product that they want to sell, and so they're not increasing the functionality of GEMS anymore. They're putting their resources into their new product, and for that purpose. So it's time to replace it and give better reporting, better budgeting, better access to information, both for staff and for the public.
So basically, you're asking us to increase the revenues and expenditures by a little over $250,000 because we already have $1.3 million in the budget. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And that's just to reflect the lease purchase. So it's increasing the lease purchase proceeds that we're getting in and the total amount of the contract, which will not all be spent this year.
It's spread over 10 years, isn't it?
The lease is, yes.
Right. The project implementation is 2 years.
But the 1,600,000 and some odd thousand is spread over a 10-year period.
Correct.
Like other grants we have with ACCG, we'll pay so much a year, and then for debt service,
Right.
on this.
Right, the ACCG will pay the software company, and then we pay ACCG over a longer period, so we're spreading the payments out.
So the $1.6 million is not one lump sum, it's spread over 10 years.
Correct, we just
We will
have to
owe the
book
money.
it. So we
Right.
have to book the revenue and book the expenses,
Okay.
so the net effect is only, how much do we have to pay this year, which is not, even in the budget. I mean, it's in the budget this year, but it will not be expended this year. So that's money that'll be left over to roll into fund balance at year end, and then next year, we've got the correct payment in the budget for the program. But this is just a,
Financing.
I hate to say net zero because, but it's, revenue and expenses will do at the same time.
So if we authorize this and the Board of Commissioners approve it, when will this become functional, this package?
2 years.
2 years it's gonna take to implement the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm still calling it fully functional.
Right.
We will be doing things during that 2 years.
Right,
but yeah.
you slowly transition over to it.
Correct.
Any other questions? Motion?
Yeah, I motion that we approve the recommendation. And then I just add a quick question.
Second.
We use time, time clock, for everybody?
No, we don't.
No.
We don't have time clocks or anything.
Right now,
Nope, nobody? I thought I heard you say for time clock.
right, so we are getting timekeeping. That's something that Commissioner Stambaugh has mentioned a couple times. So we are getting a timekeeping software, and that will be discussed more in the ERP, as much discussion as you would like on it. I think we may have 1 or 2 offices that have the punch clock right now, so
They may be
they're,
constitutional.
I believe that it is, but we
nobody,
countywide do not use them. We write it on a piece of paper, and then that piece of paper goes to a supervisor, to the director. That piece of paper comes to payroll, then we keep it forever, and all that will be done electronically.
The change, and this is where the implementation comes in. We don't know exactly how we're going to implement it. There may be a time clock there. You may use your phone to clock in. You may use a computer, or you may be a computerized terminal, which is designed for clocking in there. And it depends on who it is, where it is, and how we want to do it. And that's part of what we're going to design during the 2-year time period.
Is the end result that we're looking for is eventually the majority of county employees will have to somehow clock in, if you will,
Yes, sir.
and then they'll clock out for lunch
Yes,
and
sir.
clock back in for lunch and then clock out when they leave at the end of the day?
Correct, and we've had this request from several different departments. I know it would make the sheriff's department's payroll process, they're one of the departments that have requested that we do this. It would make it so much easier because it's so time intensive and paper driven right now that all of this would be recorded in a system, and yes, all of that would happen, and it would just be calculated.
But isn't it creating more of a monster than, I mean, right now, everybody works 8 hours for the most part, unless you're on a 10-hour schedule at a department.
Right.
And that's what you work, and so, unless you're on a holiday or you're on sick leave or whatever, so.
Well, right now, if you look at a piece of paper, everybody works 8 hours a day.
Right.
But they might be working 8 hours and 15 minutes, and by the Department of Labor, we're supposed to pay that 15 minutes, and we're not.
Well, that's what I was gonna get to, that, we'll know, it's probably easier to keep track of, but it's gonna increase our budget.
Well, see, Commissioner Stambaugh's thing was, it's gonna decrease the budget.
I don't know. He may feel that way, but I'm telling you that, our people, most of them, I would bet you work more than what they get paid for.
Right.
Especially
And
if you start
regardless,
talking
we'll
about
know.
public safety.
Right.
The sheriff's
Restoration, I
department,
know they do.
police, fire.
So,
What's the standard, what's the standard across the industry?
Standard what?
Standard behavior for the type of process that we're talking about now? Do most people still use little slips of paper that go back
Oh,
and forth?
heavens, no.
Or do they do it this way?
No, we do it like, they did in 1997.
Right, that's my point.
Yes.
So, We're bringing this into the 21st century.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
have
I
to
don't
see
have a
how it
problem,
goes.
but,
Yeah.
The other piece of this.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
But to say that people are working, we're gonna be capturing, or getting people to work.
Yeah.
No, people, I would say, people are working more than what we're paying them.
Right.
And so, yeah, I agree, we need to pay them for what they
Right.
work. But we're gonna find out, we got some people working a lot of hours.
Right. We got good people, we'll have to pay them for it, we'll just see how it works out.
Yeah.
The other piece of this is not just keeping the time, it's the payroll. For each one of these timesheets that we do, now, I would send it in, that piece of paper.
Right,
There's three
right.
people, it gets sent
Yeah.
in, somebody has to key it in, and it has to get put in the payroll and do that. Now, this will become much more automatic, it'll have approval process, but it'll be electronic as opposed to paper driven. So it's gonna reduce the effort to make sure people are paid correctly because there'll be checks and balances in the system.
Well, this sounds like it's gonna solve all the problems. So 2 years from April 16th, I want you guys reporting back, telling me that life is just beautiful now. Guys, will you do that?
I
Sounds
will.
good.
I'm hoping that you see it in these bags under our eyes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there a vote? All in favor? All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Austin, you're on there, big guy. Consider recommending, number 14, consider recommend the Board of Commissioners award a contract for the design of Dunbar Creek and Demery Road Drainage Improvement Project to PC Simonton and Associates in the amount of $27,220 with funding provided by fiscal year 18 capital projects fund.
So, good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. This is over there by the Waffle House. There's a wooden bridge there, and there's also a guardrail. The guardrail is not really up to standard. It is a safety problem should somebody hit that. Basically, because of where it sinks into the ground, where the ground holds the guardrail. It would be preferable to just pipe that and fill that area in and do away with that bridge, and that would be safer. Conversely, on the other side, we have some conflicts with the joint water and sewer and a box there and some drainage stuff. So we've asked that a contractor, a designer come in and design that for us and do the regulations that need to be done, get the right permitting, and then put that on the shelf and get ready to award it as a capital project next year or in a future SPLOST. And this particular firm had the highest total score and the lowest cost, amazingly.
It's amazingly low cost. It's half of one bid,
Correct.
$20,000 less.
Correct.
Have you had any experience with this company?
I haven't had any experience with this company, but my engineer said he could work with them.
All right. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. 15, consider recommend the BOC approve a change order for Glynn Parkway Bridge Project for underground excavating in the amount of $55,830.30.
So last
Clause
month,
5.
yes, sir. So last month I was asking you to keep that money
Yeah,
because
I
I told
noticed we
you
were under
we were
bid.
going to need that
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
and so here's where I need the money. So
Boy,
what
30
happens?
days later.
What happens on these? What happens on these construction projects is we pay for in-place concrete. So it's not a lump sum where you say, build me a bridge for $1 million. We say, build me a bridge, and we think it's going to take so many cubic yards of concrete or whatever. And then we count the cubic yards of concrete, and we pay the contractor for those particular cubic yards based on the bid that he submitted. So the good news in that is contractors know that when they bid that they're going to be paid for the work in place. And so that's what we're trying to do here.
And so do we actually have somebody out there monitoring?
Oh, yes, sir. They monitor.
The volume of concrete, et cetera, so
They
you're
count.
comfortable with this?
Yes, sir. They count the tickets.
And this is gonna wrap it up?
Yes, sir. It's done.
Motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. 16, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners award the bid for the Public Safety Complex Building Structural Evaluation to the lowest responsible bidder, Cranston Engineering Group of Bluffton, in the amount of $17,500 with funding from the county manager's contingency of this year.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman,
You'll speak to this?
I'll speak to this.
Wonderful.
There's been some discussion, what, out in the public, what's wrong with the public safety building? There must be a problem. Well,
Why are we doing this?
as far as we know, there are no issues with the public safety building. The purpose of this request is to provide us with some assurance by a qualified engineer to what category hurricane or storm the building would withstand. I've been told that it was built to withstand a Cat 3, but I've never received any concrete confirmation of that. And as we all know, in the event of a storm, things happen fast, and with the number of employees in the building during the storm, I don't want to guess on what capability the building has. I want to know for certain by a qualified structural engineer that the building will withstand X amount of storm, because our number one asset is our employees, and we never want to put them in harm's way if we can possibly help it. So that's the purpose of the request, is to know what the building is capable of withstanding from a hurricane.
Yeah, this probably should have been done a long time ago, because that building was completed in 2002, and ever since it was been completed, every expert has had their own idea of what it can withstand, category 5, category 3, 2, 1, a tropical storm, etc. So I think it's good that we finally have some, knowledge of exactly what it can.
Yeah, I agree, but it begs the question, why can't somebody produce some documentation for you, Mr. Alves? If the building was built and everybody's been saying it was built to stand a category 3, then that should have been in the original documentation by the engineers or whoever.
It may have been, and that's one of the things this engineer will do, is they'll go back to the original plans as part of their analysis.
Oh, I'm saying there should be in our files.
I understand, but as
We
far
don't
as
have it.
We don't have it.
Okay, all right. I agree with doing it then.
Right.
I mean,
So allowing us how, this is where the emergency operations centers, with all the leaders of the county, all in one place at one time, be terrible to have anything happen to that building with them in it. We'd be leaderless.
Yeah, be like that show us.
The only thing we could do is ask that all the county commissioners be there at the same time.
We'd still be leaderless.
was my
They don't have
point.
the
That was my
expertise
point.
of GEMA, FEMA, the fire, the police, the sheriff, everybody else.
That was my point.
All right, so I think it's,
To approve.
well, if we have a second, all in favor? All right, thank you. Number 17, consider recommend Board of Commissioners authorize payment for the current construction efforts in the Tax Commissioner's office and the design for the entire renovation effort with funding to be provided by the fiscal year 18 Capital Projects Fund. Mr. Austin.
So we've recently been involved in this project, and we are going to clean up what's been done down there already by paying if you approve this, we will pay the contractor for the work that he has done and for the work that he needs to do to complete his initial scope. Additionally, we will pay the architect to design what he has designed so far and to continue his design so that he will, because this is phase 1, there's a phase 2 piece to this pie of restructuring the tellers out front and fixing up some other things. And so this will pay the current person, this will pay the architect, and then I will come back to you with authority to fund or put out for bid the phase 2.
And all of these funds that will be expended will be taken out of the $300,000 that was budgeted in capital improvements
That
last
is
year.
correct, yes, sir,
And whatever's left will be,
left for that project. And may be requested as a carry forward for the next year.
Do you have any estimate as what the project's going to entail at the end of the day? Well, I
think
looked
they're
at
gonna be,
expenditures,
I think they're gonna be less.
they'll be under
Oh, yes,
the
sir.
$300,000 threshold. And the quality of work that your people have observed thus far, you satisfied?
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so at the end of the day.
Not only the quality, the quantity, and the current price of the work that has been done.
That's all
Right.
entirely satisfactory to your
Right.
group.
Correct.
Which is an independent group offering an independent opinion, correct?
Correct.
And they're gonna make sure they have a city building permit.
Correct.
The, also the design, and I can, for some reason, get to this report. But they're creating a restroom facility for females.
Correct.
That is really close and appropriate.
We have, the improvements that the tax commissioner is making down there are needed. We don't have any argument on what he's doing and how he's trying to change the function and the organization of his facility down there. There were some security issues. There's some glass panel type issues. He wants to make sure that his ladies are secure from the public, but he also wants to make sure the public is treated right, and they pull a number, they sit down, they wait for their call instead of just queuing up in the line. So he's got some procedures that he wants done that are all kind of, I think, moving his program forward.
All right, I move that we accept the recommendation.
Second. Any further discussion? Anybody? All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Sure.
Now you can make sure we pull that off consent also. That ought to be on the regular agenda for the Board of Commissioners meeting. Okay, number 18. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize the issuance of a purchase order for the painting of the Glynn County Sheriff's Office transport van in the amount of $3,754.43 from fiscal year 18 capital projects fund. Yes, sir, Sheriff Jones.
This is our oldest van, which is still in usable condition. Instead of going out and trying to purchase a new one, the paint job and striping is not up to standards of what I feel it should be, nor y'all. The lowest bid, I received 3 bids. The lowest bid was $3,754.43. I have some capital money left over, and I've spoken to Mr. Ayers and Ms. Miller, and that if approved, it'd come out of that capital fund.
Discussion?
Sheriff, I don't have a problem with this, but have you looked at if they're able to do it at the college, the technical?
I don't need it to last 6 months. I need it back in 3 weeks.
Okay,
no disrespect, and I understand that. And what,
Yeah.
the
And I'm just saying,
academy would
since
be
it's
great,
just you said an older transport vehicle.
they're on the road every day.
Yeah, I got you. I don't have a problem.
Motion?
I move that we accept the request and recommendation.
Second. All in favor? You still here?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Consider recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of purchase order for office emblems and striping of 2 Glynn County Sheriff's Office transport vans in the amount of $630 out of fiscal year 18 capital projects fund.
Again, that's the striping wears out over a period of years that starts to tear and fade. This would be to stripe 2 vans. We have 3. One is unmarked, haul the federal inmates. And this would strictly be to put the decals and markings back on the vehicles.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Piggybacking on the time clocks, at our office, just to show a little support for Ms. Miller, at our office it takes 2 ladies anywhere from 8 to 12 hours today is a timesheet day to get accurate timesheets done, because it's written. If we had and we've been looking at it for the last 6 years, and that would certainly help us on the time card issue.
And you got something they can do for those 8 to 12 hours once they're freed up?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Pay medical bills.
I need to get those paid. Good. Thank you, sir. Where are we? 20. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners terminate the Third Amendment to the contract for service between Glynn County, Georgia and Spillman Technologies and cancel purchase order P015964 in the amount of $8,326.
Uh-oh, Mr. Chairman, they brought two of them up here now, so be careful.
It gets worse. This is essentially a housekeeping where we had prior approval. And since we're not going to be purchasing since we canceled the contract with APCO for the MD, we need to cancel the contract for the interface with Spillman.
This is the one we canceled last month or
Correct.
whenever?
Yes.
Yes. The
Yeah.
medical
Yes.
thing.
And
that
the
we-
next item, but
Right.
is there.
Motion to,
This is just to get rid of this
right,
piece
motion
of
to
it.
approve.
All in favor?
I'm sorry, if I
I
could.
apologize.
I think terminate the Third Amendment is the wrong language to use here. Really, what we're really gonna have to do is amend the what we did, we amended the contract to add this, now we're gonna have to amend the contract to remove it. So you don't really terminate an amendment, you just further amend the contract. So I would suggest maybe your motion be that you amend the contract to remove, whatever language John puts in there for.
Certainly,
so-
whatever the county attorney says, the motion.
Yeah, it looks like we just amend, just take out terminate the Third Amendment to the contract, just say amend the contract, and then in the second half, the sentence that says to cancel the purchase order. It's pretty clear language. Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous. Number 21, I'm not gonna read all this. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners A, B, and C. Maybe, Mr. Catron, you can explain that. Please.
A, B, and C. Okay. I'm lost here. A, B, and C charges.
Number one, about the revenue expenditures in the E911 fund and
Okay, I got
county
it.
shares and priority dispatch, ProQA.
You want
and-
Deborah to take
Who in
it?
the fund?
Great.
Deborah can handle this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Go ahead, John.
No, I didn't see A, B, and C here.
Here we
so
go.
I was trying to
Good.
look. Okay, all right. So basically what we're doing here is
Even more
recommending
coming.
that we get the contract with Priority Dispatch, ProQA. It's through Spillman. We're buying this through Spillman Technologies, which provides our police systems and dispatch. So the interface is there for that. That's what we just terminated that previous contract for. So that interface is there, so these systems talk to one another. And this is the system that the dispatchers will use to assist staff on site in case of a medical emergency and be able to provide better advice and make sure that proper protocols are followed. There's training built into this for the dispatchers and staff, and the services and the software are part of this. What else, Deborah, we need to tell?
The system we currently have, which Mr. Usher could probably speak on, is out of date. It was a state of Georgia system that they're no longer updating. We have been trying to replace this EMD system for like 3 years now. And so we're just, this is what we're trying to move forward to purchase ProQA. ProQA actually won the first bid that we actually went out for. And then there was some stuff in the contract that we couldn't get approved. So anyway, we're trying to come back again and go with ProQA, which is a very good EMD product, and it's used by majority of the counties.
So we discussed this 2 or 3 months ago. I remember talking about the
sir.
protocols for actual on-site medical care and treatment. Is this the one that you all want?
It's actually pre-arrival instructions that we're giving to a caller. It's
Right.
pre-arrival.
Right.
Yes, sir, we're comfortable with this. This is actually one we would have gone with initially, but because there was some wording that couldn't be decided on with the attorneys, we did not go with that, but we're comfortable at this point that we can move forward.
And the I think it's part C, the final approval by the county attorney. Are you all?
We're still working on that.
Okay.
One of the issues we're trying to look at is we've been submitted 2 contracts, one from Spillman, one from Priority Dispatch. We're still trying to figure out who we sign a contract with, and hopefully, if it's Priority Dispatch, we won't have the same contract issues as we did.
So what are we being asked to do? If you all haven't decided who we're gonna sign a contract with, what is our purpose?
I think we're just trying to work out the contract language. We hope to have that done by May 3rd, by the time this gets to the full board. But that's still a work in progress right now. But I think the goal is to ask y'all to award the contract to Spillman on May 3rd.
That's what we're asking, is award the contract to Spillman.
But you're not sure they're gonna be the one we award the contract to?
No, what I'm saying is, we're still working out the contract language, so we don't have that final form yet.
There's a license agreement through ProQA that attaches to the Spillman contract. And I think what Will's trying to do is determine how that fits into that process there.
So they're comfortable with this vendor, and you're trying to get the language correct?
Correct.
And you hope to have it by May 3rd?
Yes, sir.
So if we give you the go-ahead, this will all slide up to the Board of Commissioners, and by then?
Hopefully.
Okay.
Because this is, one of the problems last time was that the company that had bid it was trying to insert language into the contract that the county couldn't live with.
Correct, sir.
And we had, so that's the reason that we couldn't go with that company. Correct.
Yes, sir, we believe at this time that will be a moot point, because we were gonna try to do in-house training. We no longer have that option there, so we're going with their training, so that should not be a stumbling block this time.
All right, motion to approve.
A second, but I do have a question. Now, how is this gonna be different than the old system?
It's not that it's different, it's just a new set of, it's just a new company and the protocols, but the protocols are always the same. They're gonna be the same regardless of which company you go with. It's just, this is a new vendor that provides us to have the interaction with Spillman, so it's all in one location.
The old vendor is no longer in operation, if you will.
It was a state
It's shut
EMD
down.
program that they no longer update their protocols. And so we're using old protocols. However, those protocols typically stay the same. It's just now we'll have updated supported protocols.
So the new protocol are really the old protocol?
Yes, sir, they just change as medical changes them, then they change that way, and we have no way to update those now because there's no state protocols that they will update. But with our ProQA system, they are constantly behind the scenes. Any updates we have, they would be able to update those for us in the system.
Medical protocols change, as I understand, and this will keep us up to date. Plus, it also provides the dispatchers with training to provide that information.
It'll be continual
Whereas
training.
we don't have that right now.
Right.
And this will interface with Spillman to our CAD system, which will let the squads, when they're out in the field, they can pull up the information that has been pushed back into Spillman. So it'll be more efficient too.
And it will record what has been told also.
All right, we good?
Yeah.
All in favor? Great.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Steve.
Number 22, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the Tyler Technologies Munis SAS contract for $1,385,597 to be purchased through the NJPA agreement with Tyler Technologies, and authorize the chairman to sign the Tyler Technologies Munis SAS contract. Funding provided by Elite Purchase, budgeted in the fiscal year 18 Capital Projects Fund, subject again to the county attorney's approval. James, are you here to support this, or is it John?
I'm gonna take the lead.
Okay.
And all four of us will join in as needed here. But basically, this is Munis is the way they pronounce it.
Munis.
Yeah, Munis. It's
Not
for
Munis,
municipal information systems,
Okay.
I think that's an abbreviation. It's been around for quite a while, and I think you're very familiar with it too, so there's 5 of us that can answer
worked
questions.
with it at different locations.
This seems like an awful lot of money that we're using here. Maybe you can tell us how vital it is and how we're going to pay for it.
What does it do?
Right.
All right, this is and designated as an ERP system because it crosses the enterprise in terms of the different functions that it performs and the support that it provides to the operations and staff of the county. So they're calling it Enterprise Resource Planning, is that right, Pete? Planning system. And the SAS, get the acronyms out of the way, the SAS is Software as a Service. It's going to be on their server somewhere else, not here. So if we have a hurricane and the building shuts down, it doesn't matter in terms of operation as long as we have internet accessibility to the system. And we'll use a secured, encrypted method of accessing the system and be able to perform updates and get information as we need it. So if we're having a really bad disaster and things are shut down and we need to cut checks for people, we can still do that, still do payroll, still do purchasing, and still do management of staff, because human resources is a function of this system also. And so the system replaces the Harris GEMS system, which is the one we talked about a little bit earlier. Been here since 1997 and does many of the same functions and does them better and more effectively. I think one area that would be improved is budgeting, where we can do, am I correct? Okay. All right, I saw that look. I want to be sure. and I'm making this up as I go, folks. So keep me straight. But budgeting, I think, would be one area which I definitely would like to see an improvement in, for the being able to go in and look at past years, be able to determine exactly where we are in the current budget year, and do that in an online fashion and measure our progress and use of the budget. The human resources is another function I think will be significantly improved, being able to manage personnel, being able to onboard people better, be able to do payroll more accurately and effectively with a whole lot less manual effort than we're doing now. I think that's another strong function of this system. We have basically within the system we have workflows, approvals. If you've got a document, a purchase requisition, it'll flow through the system. Approval will be electronic. It can be ordered electronically. It can be received electronically and charged out of inventory electronically. And again, all this depends a lot on how we implement it. But there's a lot of capability here. Particularly for the approval processes there. We mentioned the timekeeping and payroll already. And the other piece is there is a public portal, which means that as we see fit, we can make this information available to the public through the internet, and they can go in and look and see what we're spending, where we're spending it, what our costs are, and give more transparency into the way the government operates. So there's a lot of things going on here.
Let me just with all due respect to you there, Commissioner, so I'm sitting here flipping back and forth between number 13 and number 22, looking at well over $1 billion. Unfortunately, camera saw me doing that, so could you just tell the people out there, and my fellow commissioners, the difference between 13 and 22 and what they might mean?
Number 13 is to allow us to submit the application for the loan for the same product we're requesting the contract for in number 22. So it's the same thing. We're not spending the money twice.
So it's not $3 million.
No.
Right. So, and I didn't realize this too until she whispered in my ear. We're authorizing the money, and then we're purchasing the software product with that to accomplish the goals that we've talked about earlier in 13 and now in 22.
Wouldn't it have been simpler just to put it all in one item instead of trying to break it up and confusing us by putting it in two?
We did that with fire trucks, and a commissioner said, Wouldn't it be simpler to break this up into 2 items instead of putting this all into one?
Well, I think it's been clarified. Are you good with it, Commissioner Booker? Do you-
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's all the same million plus that were authorized through HCCG lease purchase program.
Correct, and there's, the amount between the two is the difference of the time clocks and the training. The time clocks will be purchased from third-party vendors, so they're not a part of our contract with Tyler. The training will be paid for separately, and we only pay what actually happens, and that's part of what we have to pay, but it's not in the quote for the contract.
So the time clocks, when you say time clocks, is it won't be something where people can just go to their computer and clock in?
We'll let James answer that.
This
He's our project manager and has done a fantastic job.
That's me, sorry, apologize.
You have different options. One is to do it from a computer. So I have a computer at my desk. I could clock in from there when I came to work. But not everyone has a computer. So another option is using a badge at near a field to do it. Thumbprint, just a plain old touch screen. So there's different.
Smartphone?
Smartphone, yes. So for the employees that actually maybe don't have to come into the office, they go straight out into the field. They can clock in.
If you have an inspector that needs to be in the field, he doesn't have to come into the office.
And we can even have that with GPS capability to say, this inspector clocked in from this location, he's on at work.
Correct.
Right, that was one of the concerns early on.
Especially the Public Works Director, I wanna know where he's
Yeah, and this gets back to where I'm saying about the implementation. One reason there's a long period of implementation is because we have to get into detailed design for Public Works, you know. Does everybody have to use a time clock at Public Works? Well, maybe not. There's people in the office that have computers. But we have different Public Works facilities in different places they go. So we have to make sure we get the right methodology in the right place. And I'm just using them as an example, but that's one of the things that we've got to do. And we've not sat down and drawn detailed plans and put an X on a wall, you know, where we're going to put something.
No, I'm good with it. Like I said, my esteemed colleague here cleared up what I was trying to figure out why we were spending $3 million on
Fortunately,
the
Tamara
same thing.
was all over it. James, you're comfortable with this system?
Yes.
In terms of implementation?
I've seen it. It was good.
You've seen it in functionality?
We went to Fayette County, saw it in action. It looks good.
What kind of time clock do they use?
As well. Chatham County also uses this software. It's a great software.
What time of what type of time clock system did you check that out?
Fayetteville actually still did it on paper, and they manually entered it. They talked about.
See, they smart.
They wanted to change that.
Yes.
Chatham is in the process of transitioning to the timekeeping system electronically.
And Chronos is one of the systems that we've looked at. We've looked at a number of options, and Chronos is one option that we've looked at.
All right, I just saying, when we have to increase the budget, we're already going to be looking at that. I hope for paying our people. But I don't want commissioners looking cross-eyed. The system gets.
No.
Well, some of us may not be on here.
That's true. Some of us may not. Motion to approve.
Second.
Already did that.
All in favor?
Thank you.
That's the last item.
Thank you all for the explanation.
Excellent, that's great, good, thanks for getting
Got any further questions, come see us.
You got it.
It's gonna save us